Hello, future Boilermakers. Congratulations to each of you for being admitted into Purdue University and one of our majors in Purdue Polytechnic Institute. My name is Rebecca Yoder, Associate Director of Recruitment and Diversity here in Purdue Polytechnic. We'll be focusing tonight on life as a student at Purdue. If you have questions about academic aspects or what your plan of study will be like in your major or what kind of computer we recommend, those topics have already been covered in earlier broadcasts this spring. And you can watch replays by going to polytechnic.purdue.edu/live. Tonight, we will be discussing with our students how they decided to pick Purdue, what classes are compared to like in high school, living on campus, student organizations, and more. Plus, the current students who are here tonight will share their advice for success in college. And I will ask our students to introduce themselves in just a minute. You're welcome to ask questions tonight by posting in the chat window. Log in with your Google account to submit questions. Our technical director, John O'Malley, will answer many of your questions in the chat room, and he will share your questions with me to be answered on air. You can also send us an email, and we will respond to your questions later on. You can send the email to techrecruit@purdue.edu. So let's get started by meeting our students who are with me tonight. I'll ask each of you to introduce yourself, tell us your major, where you're from, and how long you've been at Purdue. Kat, let's start with you.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Catherine Morales, also known as Kat Morales. I'm currently a junior here at Purdue University at the Polytechnic, and I'm studying computer and information technology with a minor in design and innovation. And I'm from New Jersey.
Awesome, thank you. Good evening, Uma. Uma Claire, tell us about yourself.
Hi, my name is Uma Claire. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and I am a sophomore triple majoring in game dev, animation, and VFX, and I also have a theater design and production minor.
Fantastic. And Emilio.
Sure thing. What's up, everybody? My name is Emilio, and I am a junior studying user experience design, and I have minors in psychology and French, and I'm from Fishers, Indiana, so not too far from here.
That is super impressive. And finally, Daniel, tell us about yourself.
Hey guys, my name is Daniel. I'm a senior here studying aviation management, and I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area in California.
Awesome. All right, Kat, let's go back to you. How did you find out about Purdue Polytechnic, and why did you choose your major in Purdue?
Yeah, so just a reminder, my major is computer and information technology. So I am a person that's very passionate, both not only to talking to people, but also telling people about the technologies that I'm passionate about. And I realized that the Polytechnic Institute had the most flexible and most reliable course plan of study, excuse me, I couldn't think of the word, the plan of study for me. And it allowed me to explore different avenues of interest of mine, whether I wanted to be exploring, more IT data analytics, or if I wanted to focus more on UX design, I could go through those avenues. And then also in general, right, the Polytechnic for me is a big community of a bunch of unique and beautiful people. I was literally a COVID baby, so meaning like I was a COVID senior, so that's what we call it back at home, COVID babies. And basically, I couldn't really experience the touring or anything of revolving around like visiting Purdue. But the Polytechnic stepped in and they're like, hey, like we know that the whole administration is not really doing any tours, but we will give you a personal tour because we know that you are important and we know that we want to make sure that you continue to feel important if you enter this college. And I just felt right at home since then.
Wow, that's awesome. Makes me feel good. Uma Claire, same question. Why Purdue?
So on my end, I took like one tour of campus, but I did not get to see any of the Polytech stuff. I didn't do any of that stuff. So for me, Purdue was really a logistical choice. As a game dev, a lot of those degrees are a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Fine Arts. They're in super expensive colleges, and because of the tuition freeze, I was able to go ahead and attend Purdue at a rate that I could afford, and they offered the game dev as a Bachelor of Science. And that's what I was really passionate about. I really wanted to be a character artist. I'm moving more to project management now, but I know that I can branch out within the Polytechnic, do something like organizational leadership, that sort of thing, to help fulfill my passions. And once I got here, I found that the community was like 20 times better than I honestly expected. Like, I was nervous about coming to Purdue because I was like, it doesn't seem like there's much. But when I got on campus, I was truly astounded by the amazing sense of community and the resources that I had at my disposal.
Fantastic. Emilio, why is Purdue your number one choice? Why'd you come here?
Yeah, sure thing. So back in high school, kind of like Uma, I was a really creative guy. I like to draw and play music and everything. And I was also into STEM. I was a pretty technical guy too. I enjoyed math and everything. And I didn't really want to leave either of those sides behind. And after exploring some colleges and talking to some people, I was in my heart, I was really confident that I would be able to do both of those things here at Purdue. And so that's why I picked it. And then my first couple of years here, that was 100% reassured. I've been able to do so many different things, not stuck to one thing. And so now I know that Purdue is number one for sure.
Thank you. Daniel, why did you choose Purdue?
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to go in the aviation direction. So when I was searching up for aviation aeronautical schools, Purdue always showed up on near the top of the list for all the websites that I visited. And my friend also came here. He's 2 years older than me, so if I had any questions, I would ask him. So compared with other schools, I had a lot more information like about Purdue, and Purdue is a well-known school overall, not just for aviation, but for engineering, for computer science, for data science. So the people that you're surrounded with on a daily basis, whether that's in your residence hall or in your classes or in your student organizations, highly intelligent people, and you can definitely learn a lot from them, from the professors here, and there are also a lot of opportunities, like the other students mentioned. So you're not just limited to learning stuff just from your major. You can branch out into your other interests as well.
Okay, well, I'm going to let you guys fight over this answer, and you can raise your hand. Alex asked, how long does it take an average freshman to adjust to college life? All right, Uma.
It took me 2 weeks to get the basics and a full month to get all the details. So you get to like learn about, when do you do your laundry? How does laundry work? All that fun stuff. What your classes are like, your general route and your eating habits. All that settled within like the first week, maybe 2 weeks if you find yourself kind of changing and everything. A month to get settled in clubs and to do long-term stuff like where do I need to go grocery shopping if I want to, do that sort of thing. Like what can I commit to now that I've explored my clubs? What can I commit to and all that fun stuff. So I would say that's about how much time it took me at least.
Or how about you, Emilio?
Yeah, sure thing. I wouldn't say that there's a specific amount of days or weeks that the average freshman takes to get acclimated to college, but I will say it's a pretty fluid process. Like there's a lot to learn, a lot to see, but you don't feel like you're learning and seeing. You're just doing them, and naturally over time you assimilate and you meet people, which I think is it's really cool. I didn't feel like I was having to take notes on the things. Like I just did them, and then eventually they became a routine and became a habit. So that's my take on it.
Nice. COVID baby. How about you?
Yeah, so I definitely was in a bit of a different circumstances compared to the freshmen now. So during my year, right, we had to wear masks, we had to follow all the COVID guidelines and whatnot. And may I say, Purdue handled that pretty well. They even provided us with little kits in the beginning of the year to make us all acclimated and kind of, feel welcomed there. But honestly, I agree with Emilio. It's a different pace for everybody. I it took me like at least a little bit longer, right? Because I wasn't allowed in certain parts of campus. Because again, like with COVID restrictions and whatnot, it took a bit of a process. Even the dining court process, just to get food, right, was completely different than it is now. And now it's more normalized where you could just walk up and just fill your little plate with any food that you want. Um, but it also helps with the people there, right? Like you're going to be experimenting with everybody around you. They're in the same boat as you. So everybody's going to be like, hey, like, do you want to go to the multimedia like building on campus? Yeah, of course I do. Do you want to go to Deadly and maybe just check out all the different, study rooms that we can maybe go and like work together on projects? Absolutely. Let's go. So definitely take on those opportunities when you're with people, because again, they're in the same boat as you. So don't be afraid to just go out and look at everything at Purdue.
Awesome. My son was also a COVID baby, and now he uses his swipes and dining to study. And so he studies and goes there for lunch, spends hours, and then eats dinner. So he's kind of figured out a way to make like a long time brunch. All right, Daniel, here's a great question about that for you. How long did it take to adjust to Indiana weather from California?
Oh yeah. Honestly, I didn't think it was going to be too bad when I first came here, because my friend says, "Oh yeah, Indiana weather's like really, really bad in the winter." I was like, "Oh, it can't be too bad," because I've been skiing before in like Reno and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, it can't be colder than that." And once it hit about like December, January, it got freezing. It got really, really freezing. So it wasn't too hard to adapt because I honestly didn't have a choice. It's the weather. Like, what are you gonna do about it? But just wear thicker clothing. But I do not like to wear those little furry things around my ears because I look really funny in those. So I just decided to freeze my ears off every single winter.
That's awesome. Uma, Claire?
One little thing that I would like to add on to that is someone from Texas. I hear that this is generally true for most students coming from the southern area of the United States, that we get the allergies are so bad for us because we've never experienced corn. We don't know what corn's like until we come here. So there is lots and lots of corn pollen, especially since we're in like a valley and it kind of gets there. So if you are from the southern United States or you don't think you've had a lot of corn exposure, then I would suggest getting some Claritin ahead of time. It hits me personally in like February, March, and occasionally in the fall as well. So just bring some allergy meds that you like. So Claritin, Sudafed is also really good too. So just keep that in mind.
Hey, thank you. That was a really good tip. Also, I don't know if you do this, but when I went here ages ago, I walked through buildings in the winter time. So instead of just walking outside, I'd walk through buildings, and like for some reason I had to go through the chemistry building. It's because it was freezing. So there's ways to keep warm here. So let's talk about studying in college. So compared to being in high school, we'll go back to Uma Claire. You sorry, either your first or second years at Purdue, how are college classes different than those in high school? And what is the most challenging thing and adjustment that you had to make?
All right, so for me at least, and well, this is really Polytechnic wide, but all of our classes are much more centered around group projects, and it's different than the group projects that you have in high school. So I have maybe in my 2 years of being here only taken 3 paper tests, and those were like short, like 10 questions. Did you like learn something from the lecture sort of thing? So really, really easy tests beyond your cores. So I'm talking major specific classes. So in major specific classes, it's mostly project based. For this semester, I have 2 projects that started at the beginning of the semester and are ramping up till finals. So for me, I did not need to worry too much about studying. I needed to worry a lot more about how do group projects work, how do we pace ourselves and learn those time management skills, and really about how do you deal well in a group that's long term, not just like a week long thing that you have in high school, but for a couple months. How do you deal with people over the couple of months? How do you divvy up your roles and all that fun stuff. So it's an adjustment that you really only learn through experience, but it's not a hard adjustment to make.
So I'm going to ask that question to anyone else who wants to answer. What is it, the comparison? Yeah, Kat.
Yeah, so kind of bouncing what Claire said earlier, it's really, at least for my major as well, computer infotech, it's really group project based. I apologize for my neighbors. I don't know what they're cooking over there. But basically, at least in the Polytechnic, they really emphasize that and they start you in that really early on. So in other broadcasts, we've mentioned a class called Tech 120. So if you want to see more information about that, definitely go check out those other broadcasts. But I will say they really start like the ball rolling really early on, where you have to do a lot of communication and collaboration. You actually have to start researching, getting out of your comfort zone, maybe interviewing people that you just see randomly on the street, you know? So there's just a lot of different like steps that they get you to get more comfortable in the courses that you're going to be later on. It's like a very general, like that course is very generalized, meaning like you get to touch on a little bit of everything here and there as to what you're going to be going on further on. And then in terms of like my out of department classes, right, it varies, right? So I could be taking a speaking class and I'll be like, hey, I remembered in one of my Tech 120 courses, I had to present this whole slide deck about what I'm researching. And honestly, yeah, there's a lot of different resources on campus that you can go to, both in the Polytechnic and outside of the Polytechnic that students have really been using recently now. And they've been using it before, but now it's like almost like sometimes I see a line out the door. It depending, like if there's a final, I'm like, oh, I could tell there's a chemistry final coming up. But sorry, I'm going a little bit all over the place. But yeah, it takes a little bit of time for everybody to kind of get used to it. And it honestly, as long as you talk to the people around you and also talk to the resources that you have around you, you're gonna be just fine.
Fantastic. Let's talk about your favorite things at Purdue. So Emilio, I'm going to start with you and then go to Daniel. What's your favorite thing about being on campus in Purdue University?
Yeah, sure thing. I think one of my favorite things about the Purdue campus is that there's just so many things to do. Like my day is filled to the brim every single day because I don't want to miss out on all these super fun things. Like apart from, well, I mean, you have your classic things like homework and doing projects and everything, but after that, there's still so much time in the day. Like I work out every day. I am part of IM Sports, so I'll play soccer and volleyball like 3 or 4 times a week. I'm in a couple clubs. Like there's always things going on. Like especially this week now that it's warming up, there's been a lot of like I think Ag Week is gave out free burgers today, or there's like puppies walking around. That like things like that is just there's always things, and sometimes I feel like I can't even go to everything. So I love that there's a lot of things to do. I'd say that's my favorite thing about campus.
Awesome. Daniel?
Yeah, I would say my favorite thing is pretty close to what he just said. There are a lot of opportunities on campus. I really like the gym on campus. It's really modern. So when I have free time, I go there. It's called the Co-Rec. It's really modern. There's massive windows. Once you walk in, you feel like you're not even at Purdue anymore. At least that's the feeling for me. So it kind of takes me away from the academic setting for a while I exercise for a couple hours there on the weekends or on the weekdays. And also, I'm an aviation student, so we have our own airport on campus, so you get to watch planes take off. And then I have pilot friends who can take you up in the air for a little bit when you have time.
Well, and one of the things I hear is that like the aviation students are kind of tight knit and you feel really a close connection to the airport and like to be there. Is that true?
I would say that is true. Yes, like the pilots, they have a really special connection with the aircraft that they fly. They can memorize, I think, like the tail numbers of their aircraft, and whenever they see the aircraft, I mean, they just feel really, really happy to be right next to it.
Oh yeah, Amelia.
Yeah, like that's another great example of like all the things that are going on. One of my friends is a pro flight major, and I asked her if I could just go on a flight, and she was like, "Yeah, no problem." It's like 2 weeks ago, I just went like while she was logging her hours and got to fly over campus and like see my house from an airplane, which was pretty awesome.
Like that's amazing. Uma, Claire.
Ooh, my favorite thing on campus, I'm gonna have to second it. All the things that are here on campus is great. I also really love like the study spaces that we have on campus. There's like a lot of them are hustling and bustling, but people know to be quiet. There's a famous room in the Wilmot Active Learning Center, giant windows right in front of the bell tower. You gotta love that natural light, and everyone knows it is quiet in there. No one talks. There's like no music, no nothing. It's just a quiet study space. You can find lots of these study spaces on campus. They fill up fast, but when you get a spot and you sit there for a while, it feels great. I love it.
Also, you had a story about something that you love, and you love to share about Polytechnic. And can you share the story about one of the broadcasts you did earlier, like a year ago, with us?
Yeah, of course. And I was actually just about to mention that one of my other favorite things is being a Polytech ambassador. We're all volunteers. We're not being paid to say this stuff. But I did a broadcast like a year ago, very similar to this. And this past semester, so this past fall, I came onto campus in one of my animation classes, and this girl walks up to me. She was like, "Hey, are you Uma Claire?" I've never seen this girl in my life, by the way. I have no clue who she is. This is like the first couple weeks of class. And I'm like, "Yeah, it's me. What's up? Can I help you?" And she was like, "I remember watching one of your broadcasts last year, and you're the reason I came to Purdue." And it was like so uplifting. It was just a great feeling all in all. So stick through the rest of the broadcast. You might have a decision-changing revelation here.
That's awesome. All right, Kat.
I just wanted to say, everybody, my name is Kat Morales. I'm computer and information technology, and if you want to do the same with me, I will be so happy.
Kat, what's your favorite thing about Purdue?
Jeez Louise. Oh my goodness. Everybody covered pretty much all the stuff and activities that are happening on campus. One of my main things is actually going to the basketball games and the football games. So for me, I went to a private Catholic high school. And so I never really got to go see like all the other like school events and whatnot because like my school just didn't do it. So when I went to my first football game, it was like it was like so fun. And honestly, I mean, some people may be shaking their heads right now because of the Big Ten, like with us in the Big Ten right now.
Oh
Point
no.
is that it's still really fun. The energy the energy's so electric. Like the players, like they're also students as well. Remember that? So sometimes I just see like Zachy walking in campus. And one time I almost bumped into him and almost fell on the ground because he's like 7'4". But I just love the energy from the games and everybody, gets up and it's just like it's a one big Purdue community. And that's like the thing that's common throughout all of us. And we all just join it as a family and we all like scream at the players, we scream at our opponents, and all in good favor, all in good fun, everything. But that's it. Oh, every time I think about every like basketball game that I've been to or brought my friends to out of town that I've told them like, hey, come on over. Like we got a really good crowd over here. Everyone's had the best time.
That's awesome. That was when I went to school here, same thing. That energy has not gone away. There is a question from Andrew, and he said, do all dorms have Ethernet access? And do they have room for a desktop computer? So, Kat.
They do have Ethernet cables, or like Ethernet ports. Majority of them do. I don't think anything has changed since I was there. And then usually they do have space. So I lived in Earhart my first year and freshman year, and they had like a little. Each desk is like different depending on like the residential hall that you're going to be living in. But my desk was kind of like one of those hooded ones. So it's like my table, and then there's like a cork board where I could stick things up, and then there was like a shelf, and then it was my bed right behind it. So yes, you can make some space and put it like on the corner or in front of you. It just depends on however way you want to set up. I know sometimes people have like these little like side tables and they'll put it there and they have it. Um, just make sure, you know, like it fits pretty close enough. I know some of the residential halls have like the dimensions of each of the tables and desks, so you can check through their associated websites and everything.
That is a really good point. So absolutely, there are layouts, and we'll get to that a little bit more later. So Emilio and Daniel, you are both seniors, graduating at different times, right? Emilio, are you graduating in the May?
I'm actually a junior, so I have one more year.
Oh, sweet. I get you another year.
Yep. Excited to be here.
So Daniel, you're going to graduate in December. Um, so you've got a lot of experience to answer these questions. How do you feel about your prospects after you leave? What are you going to be doing?
Yeah, sure. So, actually, after I graduate, I plan on going to graduate school. I plan to pursue a major in data science from a different university. But in terms of my future career, throughout the years I've been here, I've done a co-op or an internship every single summer. So I hope to work in the airline industry after I graduate, hopefully as either a data analyst or a data scientist for their operations teams. Because all of my internships and co-ops have been in the airline operational teams, in aircraft maintenance, um, or airport operations or flight operations. So data and machine learning and artificial intelligence is something that I'm really passionate about, and I hope to apply that to aviation.
That is super exciting. Like I was speechless for a second. That's so impressive. So we're gonna go back to our residence halls. Most of our students live in residence halls during their first year. Some stay there all 4 years. What has it been like having roommates, meeting new people? How did you find your roommate? Can anybody speak to that? Claire.
Alrighty, so I have a fair amount to say on this subject because I actually just got accepted to be an RA at Hilltop next year. So I'm going to be part of the community and one of the people that is a big resource for anyone who's coming and living in the dorms. So my experience, my first 2 years here, I've lived in Hillenbrand, which is amazing, love it. I found my roommate by joining the Facebook group that was for our class, and that was the first time I've ever opened Facebook. It was really weird. So you know, it was a little bit of a learning curve for me, but I made a PowerPoint and I said, "This is my friendship application. Reach out to me if you want to be my roommate." And while no one necessarily goes through all that, a lot of the ways that you find roommates is from those original groups. I think that there's also a Discord for every class. So if you prefer Discord, then you can go and check that out as well. So if you do that, then you can request a roommate beforehand before you go into your freshman year. But if you don't find someone, that's completely okay. You'll answer a couple questions about what you like, how you live. Like, are you an early bird? Are you a night owl? That sort of thing. And they'll randomly place you with a roommate that kind of matches you so that you don't have too many troubles. This year, I got a random roommate, and we get along great. If I have any conflicts, which I don't really, then I would go to my RA, and they can do mediations. We make roommate agreements, all of this stuff to make sure that you are on the same page as your roommate, so that you can, you know, live in a cohesive manner. And as an RA, you also will be able to make floor events. So go to your floor events. There's lots of fun. There are like pizza parties. There's like, we had like a bonsai event where we made little bonsai trees. We had like so much stuff. Go to your hall events because they gave out free squishmallows. You want the squishmallows. Everyone wants squishmallows. I stand by that. So go to the events. There's so much fun. It's a great way to make new friends. So there's a lot of community and there's a lot of ways to get to know people in the dorms. So I will stay in dorms all my 4 years. I have decided that. So I'm not going off campus. I'm not going to go to an apartment. I love the community too much.
That's awesome. Emilio, I saw you shaking your head. So you have anything to add?
Yeah, I guess I just want to say that a lot of people are like nervous to live in dorms, I feel like, but living in dorms is part of the college experience. Like you never really went to college, I feel like, if you didn't stay in like a freshman dorm. You know, I feel like that's part of it. I really enjoyed my time living in a dorm just because there's a, like Uma said, there's a sense of community with everybody that's in the dorms, and you have the rest of college, the rest of your 2 or 3 years to live in an apartment or a frat house or whatever you decide. But the living in the dorms like is pretty unifying, I think. So don't be discouraged, be open-minded, and it's the fastest and easiest way to meet people on campus is the people on your floor and the people in your dorm.
Absolutely. And Claire had talked about the questionnaires, and that's my son did that as well. And I was pretty sure that somebody was going to throw him out a window, but that never happened because they matched him up with someone who had similar interests and would also stay up late at night and had the same study habits. And so it worked really well. So Purdue does a good job with that. We have a question about mini fridges and microwaves in dorms. Maybe our resident assistant can tell us about that.
Yes, you can have both. You have dimension limitations on them. You can find that in the housing website. But there's a company called Bedloft, and they do loft beds, obviously. But that's only allowed in certain dorms, but you can check online again. But you can also rent a microwave mini fridge combo. That's what I did for the whole academic year. And they will go and deliver it to your dorm. All you got to do is plug it in. It'll be there when you move in. So go ahead and take care of that earlier rather than later, just to make sure it's on campus when you move in. If not, it happens in like the first week. And then you can keep it, and it's great. I love it. I really, really don't regret getting it. I use it all the time. And it comes with a little freezer too. So it's a mini fridge freezer. So yes, I store copious amounts of ice cream in there, and I don't regret it.
Well, we have another question about learning communities. So, does anyone live in a learning community, or have you lived in a learning community? Can you live there all 4 years? And what are some benefits? Okay, anybody? Uh, I'll let Uma and Claire answer this. So, and I can answer it a little bit too, but I'm not a student, so I'll go to Uma Claire.
So there is a living learning community where I live, Hill and Branch, called the Data Mine, and I have 5 or 6 friends who are in it. So everything I say is secondhand. So disclaimer, disclaimer. But essentially, what a living learning community is you are in this class or you are bound by this interest that has some classes with it that brings you to live with the same people with the same interests as you. So some learning communities span multiple halls, some are only in certain halls, but if you are placed in a learning community, you will be placed with people who are also in the learning community. As far as I know, yes, you can do it all 4 years. And I know that some of the benefits is you make friends, you get to do something you love. I know for the data mine, it is surrounded by data analytics, but you also have a lot of different cohorts in it. So you can work with actual businesses and the corporate partners. There's a games one too. So there's like lots of different things you can do. There's a women in technology learning community, which is great, and I hear is amazing. It is run by someone I very much love. I know that there's oh goodness, I know there's a lot of learning communities on campus. There's got to be at least 10, I'm pretty sure, 10 or more. So you will be able to find your group. And what that looks like, at least in my case, is my 5 or 6 friends all go to the same seminar once a week and they complete weekly assignments. So they work together all the time. They get in big study groups just to complete these assignments. So it's definitely a unifier.
Thank you very much. Here's another question. Have any of you used induction or hot plates in your dorm rooms, and are they allowed? Nope, I see a lot of shaking of
Actually,
heads.
they're not allowed. You can't have anything with an open heating element. But a lot of dorms have kitchenettes and they have little kitchen carts, so you don't need to bring your utensils unless you really want to. And so you can cook on a stove there, at least in Hillenbrand. So you'll be able to have that, but no, nothing with open heating elements is allowed.
Thank you. Then how easy is it to find apartments and housing outside of campus? Oh, yes. All right, Kat.
So I'm currently living in one of those outside apartments.
Oh, it's freezing,
Really
Kat,
easy.
again.
It just depends everyone. It depends on everybody's like price range and whatnot. So for me, so I'm living at Campus Edge, and that meant like I was a little bit more flexible with my budget for my apartment. And it also depends on like what you're looking for. Like some amenities for some apartments might be more fit for you compared to others. Like I know my friend, he lives a little bit more down like about like 5 minutes. He lives by Silver Dipper, which is a ice cream shop that's really like popular for students on campus to go to. And because he shares the same building as like Silver Dipper, he gets a discount for Silver Dipper. So it kind of like balances a little bit. And again, it's not relatively hard to get an apartment. The only reason why I'm saying relative, searching, to start applying, to start seeing who's going to be your roommates and whatnot. And that's just a general process and everything. Because I know some people are still like looking for like an apartment, or like at least still deciding, because again, like just slots have been closing up for certain apartments. And that's just because like they were just, undecisive at the time. And that's okay. There's still always an option though. It's not like you're gonna live like in Indianapolis, which is like an hour away from here. There's always at least something. What, if you guys can help me out, I would say like 10, maybe 15 minutes max outside of campus, like the majority of them, apartment wise, that are outside of academic and just general Purdue campus. Technically I'm considered off campus, but I'm literally like I could see the PMU from my apartment. So I the PMU is like a Purdue Memorial Union. You guys should go there. It's really fun. You get a lot of food and it's really cool.
And you're right, it varies. Next year, my son's going to be living about 10 minutes away. And you can get really bougie apartments, or you can get ones that are not so bougie. It depends on your budget and what kind of leasing agreements you get and who you connect with, and how many roommates you have, right? So you got to keep all those in mind, and it takes a little bit of legwork to do that. So let's go down to the next question. Did any of you join student organizations? And all of you should raise your hand because you're all ambassadors. But let's start with Daniel this time to tell us about some of his organizations.
Yeah, sure. So, starting my freshman year, I joined an organization called AAAE. It stands for American Association of Airport Executives. It's actually a national organization. Every single aviation school has their own chapter. We are the Purdue chapter. And essentially, what we did was we had a lot of guest speakers from the industry come over and speak to us. So it kind of opens the members' eyes to what options there are in the aviation industry, as well as give members an opportunity to network with professionals from the industry. And we also went on facility tours, like airline facilities, airport facilities. So you get to see how things work behind the scenes. So that's essentially what we did. We also had professional development opportunities, such as inviting the CCO, which is the Center for Career Opportunities, to come over and help with resumes, mock interviews, things of that sort. Um, After my freshman year, I became vice president of that club, and then I was mainly focused on the logistics, so planning events, um, budgeting, inviting guest speakers, things of that sort. So, no matter which club you join on campus, definitely make the most out of it. My tip is, don't try many in the beginning, but later narrow it down to like 1 or 2, max 3. Otherwise, if you do like 6 or 7, you're not going to get the most out of any one of them. So just start out with a lot, explore what you like, and then narrow it down to 1 or 2 later on.
That is fantastic advice. Claire?
Yeah, so this particular semester for me has been very busy, so I have not been able to be as active as I would have liked, but I have been very, very active in the past. So a lot of the clubs that I were in I divided them into 2. So I had some for fun and some for professional stuff. So these past couple semesters, I've been part of the Night Train Swing Dance Club, so I could dance my stresses away. And it's been super duper fun. Highly recommend. And then I did some women in animation clubs, the computational arts circle, those sort of classes, and obviously Polytech ambassadors. And through a mix of the Polytech ambassadors and my women in animation group, I got a chance to network and contact someone in the industry that I want to go into who has the job that I want. So I got to have like a half-hour-long Zoom conversation with her to be able to make that connection and learn more about what she does. So it's a great opportunity. My advice would be explore in the beginning, but then do 1 for fun, 1 for professional networking. That way you can get, both benefits.
Fantastic. Emilio?
Yeah, sure thing. So I kind of agree with Daniel. It's better to explore early on and try everything, go to as many as you can, but then naturally you're going to figure out the ones that you like the most and which ones you want to be more involved in and maybe even get a leadership position. One of the clubs that I'm involved in is called Passport Club. I'm the president of Passport Club, and this club, what it does is it aims to connect exchange students that come from all over the world. So like Singapore, Spain, Ecuador, Colombia, like anywhere. They send exchange students here to Purdue, and the job of everybody in the club is to get them acclimated to campus and to help introduce them to people that are domestic, people that are from the USA, so that they can branch out and hopefully make some long-term connections, which is that this is one of my favorite clubs. It's super cool. And apart from Passport Club, I'm also an ambassador for the university as a whole, not just the Polytechnic Institute. And I get to do a lot of professional work with them also. I get to be in all of the commercials that Purdue makes and all of like the ads you'll see on social media and stuff, which is pretty cool. They always ask me to be in the pictures, which is awesome. And one of the big social clubs that I'm involved in is I joined a fraternity here on campus, which sometimes is a good break to get away from academics and do more social events instead of networking and everything, which is pretty cool too. So a good balance of both.
Fantastic. Kat?
Hey, sorry about that. I had to turn off my camera. But yeah, everybody probably said this briefly. I had to step out for a second. But yeah, you just gotta try a little bit of everything and see where it goes from there. And the thing is, I think people get worried about this a lot. You can join an organization pretty much anytime that you want. I mean, it depends on the organization's regulations and whatnot. Like I know, like probably like Greek life is a little bit more different. At least with like maybe like with housing and whatnot. I'm not really familiar with Greek life, so I could be totally like saying the worst information. But anyway, you can join any sort of organization at any point in time at Purdue, and I'm sure there's going to be a fit for everybody. And if not, you can make one of your own. And I am actually the president of the Polytechnic College. So I work to aim to be the liaison between the students and the administration. And so I try my best to make sure that everybody's like on the same page, that opinions are, opinions are exchanged, that we're constantly making the Polytechnic a better place. And I also work with like the student government as well in general, because like our association as councils for the student body. And then I also am with ALPFA, which is Association of Latino Professionals. Oh my goodness, I should know this. This is going to be such a bad broadcast if I don't remember the whole acronym. I'm just going to say ALPFA. And then there's also SHIP. But those are professional professionalism based organizations for Hispanic and Latinos, both in like technology, and I'm not technology. And they help me like communicate, they help me like network with people, they help me even with like, I just found like somebody who's in a tutor in a class that I didn't even know was in like the class with me. And those are the events, right, that you're gonna find the most like people that you don't even know. And it's gonna be awesome because like I met even like what's the organization, PSUB, Purdue Student Union Board hosted a concert last year. And I met like some of my friends through that concert, and it was awesome. And again, just trying to go to as many places and many events as you can. And I'm sure there's always going to be an incentive for you to go, like whether it's free stuff, free food, maybe a networking, maybe an automatic interview with an internship. And yes, those do happen. The fact that you're potentially going to Purdue, or going to Purdue for those who have said yes, is a really good thing, because people see Purdue and their faces light up. So yeah, go to everything, try out everything, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. If it does, cool, stick with it.
Thank you, President Kat. Emilio.
Yeah, going off of what Kat said about how Purdue's reputation precedes you, I actually did an interview for a company in Australia. So I had to do it at like 9 p.m. because that's the only time that we were both awake at the same time. But yeah, I was telling them, and like the first thing they said was like, "Oh, so how about like the basketball season and stuff?" And they were like fully from Sydney, Australia. I thought that was so crazy.
That's awesome. And Emilio, you mentioned working with students that come to Purdue internationally. Have any of you studied abroad? Okay, we'll go with Emilio and then Kat.
Yeah, so last summer I studied abroad in the UK. So I was in Newcastle in England and in Edinburgh in Scotland. And we moved around a little bit, but mostly we were in Northumbria University, which is that university in Newcastle. And I got to work on some cool design projects with the master and PhD students there at the university, and help them make something pretty cool. But it was also like it's a study abroad, so you do schoolwork, but at the same time you're traveling and you're exploring. So I got to get closer with a lot of the people from my major and explore the city in an international setting, which was super fun. And this summer, yeah, I'm gonna be working in Australia in a similar program, so that's gonna be so awesome.
That is awesome. Kat?
I am so jealous, but oh my gosh. But I also studied abroad. And the funny thing also about some of these programs, again, I was mainly going towards like, like more like something that I'm passionate about, like the actual like course itself. Um, and maybe there were like 10 people studying abroad, maybe 15 studying abroad with me. Everybody else was outside of Purdue, and it was so funny. And you meet like the randomest connections. Like I found my like preschool like friend studying abroad, and I didn't even know that they were studying abroad, and it was awesome. We spent the entire time together. But yeah, so the programs itself though, they're pretty nice, and they understand that you're there for only a certain amount of time, and you want to experience the world in general. So most of the professors, at least from my experience, were pretty understanding. And even they also try to integrate, right, their coursework and with the actual like surroundings that you are in. So like I went to the UK, so we went to all like the different like spots and whatnot, and historical monuments and everything. We even got some of the week off because we were there when it was like the Queen's Jubilee. So it was definitely an experience. I saw corgis every single corner I looked. But it was really fun. And I highly encourage everybody to study abroad, because and not only you're kind of stepping in a different place that maybe you've never been before, maybe you've been there all the time, but you're on your own. That's the difference. You're on your own. You finally get to kind of be your own person, experiment, learn, make those mistakes. This is your time to be silly. And I'm so grateful that I was let me say, very silly during studying abroad, because there were times where literally like I got lost and I was like, okay, let's be smart. Come on, let's sit down, let's figure this out. But then there were times where we were just like hanging out and just like going out and like literally just dancing in the street. It's your time to be like as silly and as fun as you can in those different moments when you're studying abroad. And it also helps you out in the future because you may want to go back there at a later time.
Right, like Emilio. Okay. Emily asks, can you bring a car to campus? And I know there are different policies for cars for first year students versus those living off campus. So can any of you speak to that? Yes, Kat.
I'll be very brief. You can bring your car to campus. There's different passes depending on where you are living on campus. Because I am just off of campus, so there's like a rule basically that says like if you're X amount of distance, off campus, you can get a specific type of pass. And again, same thing within campus. Like if you're a resident at one of the residential halls, you can get a certain pass and park in certain areas. There's maps and information about that all online. But yes, you can bring your car to campus.
I also will add to that those specific parking spots for people who are in residence halls are not necessarily convenient. And sometimes it's hard to get those parking passes. So make sure you do some investigating before you bring your car to campus. My son hasn't brought a car in 2.5 years. He will next year because he'll live off campus and far off campus, right? Because he wants us to go broke. Okay. Then we have another question. Oh yeah, and this is a pretty good one. Do you guys have any suggestions about a good time to visit campus? I would tell you not this week for sure. Are there any good dates coming up that you think that they should come and take a look at the campus?
Wait,
Yes,
why
Kat?
not this week, Rebecca?
Why not this week? Okay, I'm gonna tell you why. Because I'm tired. Number one. Number two, we have a lot of ongoing tours happening right now. It's like the end of the tour season. And also our brand new, beautiful, gorgeous building is being dedicated at the end of this week. And so the attention that you would get from our office or from our ambassadors or from admissions is not going to be great. So that's why this week, particularly the rest of this week, is not great. But Kat, what do you suggest?
I don't have a particular week, but I know that you can reach out to the ambassadors directly if you want to schedule your own tour at your own time. I've been reached out multiple times about like just, hey, like, can you show us around campus a little bit during your day, both on the weekend and if not. Because remember, it's most of the time, at least during these last few weeks, we're going to be staying on campus because we have last minute group work, last minute study sessions we need to do. So there's going to be a good chance that you could catch us. But then again, right, people are studying for finals and finalizing the end of the semester, making sure they're being successful and whatnot. So just kind of timing that with the students, I think is a big thing to mention. But just in general, like if you want to like walk around campus and kind of get your own feel for that, nobody's stopping you, you know? I mean, you could go up to like certain students if they're comfortable, right? At not Polytechnic or Polytechnic. Like if you're in the you just see like a big lecture hall and you just freakily like look in the window and just see what's going on in that class. I don't think anybody's gonna stop you. So pretty much do it whenever you have time.
Right. You didn't hear that from me, but that is not wrong. Claire.
This is going to be a little bit of a self plug in here, but I don't have anything on finals week. Most students are going to be out and about studying, so if you want to see what study spaces are like, you can go check that out. But I have absolutely zero to do during finals week, so if you want to contact me, I'll be happily give you like a tour of campus and set something up. We can, talk and all that fun stuff. So reach out to me. You can find our emails at the Polytech. If you just search up Polytech Ambassadors, you can find us, our pictures, and our emails really, really easily. So feel free to reach out, especially I figured we would notice, so since we're probably running a little bit low on time, but yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. Absolutely. So, what else? We'll start with Daniel. Do you like to do when you're not studying?
Yeah, so I like to exercise. So like I said before, I go to the gym, the co-rec on campus. On the weekdays, I'm really busy with because I tutor as a part-time job, just for fun. So I don't really have a lot of free time on the weekdays. But on the weekends, I like to go to the gym, spend a few hours there, lifting weights on the treadmill, spend a few hours there. The second thing I do, most people probably wouldn't call this a hobby, but I like to program in my free time. You know, I get some ideas in my head, like, can we do this with code? I code in Python, and I built my own aviation weather reporter using Python. It's a few hundred lines of code. I've been working on it for a few months. Now I'm finalizing it. So programming is really fun because it really trains your logic as well. And it's really rewarding when you finally get the code to work.
Like, why are you guys so amazing? And every time I speak to you all, I'm so impressed. So, Uma Claire, what do you like to do besides study?
I'm a game dev. I think it's kind of obvious. I play video games, specifically Animal Crossing. I will never give up my Animal Crossing islands. I am very devoted to it. So, Animal Crossing.
Thank you, Uma Claire. Emilio.
Yeah, so I talked a little bit about it before, but I like to work out a lot, so I'll be at the gym just like Daniel, but I also like to throw in some things that are a little bit more exciting. Like I'm on a lot of different intramural sports teams. I'll play volleyball and soccer all the time. And like I said before, I'm in a fraternity, and sometimes, especially this week that the weather's been nice, we kind of just hang out on the front porch and toss the football or play frisbee or something, which can be pretty exciting too.
Actually, I was just watching that happen outside my window and was very jealous.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that looks like so much fun. All right, Kat, finally you get to tell us what else do you like to do?
If I have time, I like to just like sometimes just walk around campus and just like go on walks with my friends, kind of catch up on everything's been going on throughout the week. Sometimes we just literally just dedicate to do like mukbangs, yeah, where we're just like, okay, what's the restaurant for the day? What are we ordering from, and what food are we gonna get? And literally, we just get like $100 worth of food from this one restaurant, and we just eat and sit, and it's super nice. I highly recommend it. You do it with your friends. It's so therapeutic. And then in addition to that, right, I also like try to like go out and play some sports with my friends. I try to hit the pool that's on campus and also the one that's like right here at my apartment. And then when I turn 21 on Monday, I'm gonna try and explore the downtown area a little bit more once I am legal.
Well, happy birthday, Miss President. um, some of you have part-time jobs. Are you able to balance that with your schoolwork? And how do you balance your time when you do that? Yes, Uma Claire.
So currently I have an on-campus job. I have in the past worked two jobs at the same time. So yes, it is possible. Right now I work 14 hours a week at the Envision Center on campus. We're super cool. Look us up. And so what I do is I'm basically on the academic side of campus from the hours 9 to 5, back-to-back classes and work. The way that I tend to manage this is I make sure I pack my lunch because I don't have time to go to the dining courts, unfortunately. And then I only let myself study from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. After 9 p.m., I set myself down for the day. I do my self-care, all that fun stuff. So it's a good way of keeping me sane while also holding myself accountable to work. I work on homework on the weekends because I don't work on weekends. And that's how I usually manage my time.
Anybody else? Yeah, Daniel.
Yeah, so like I just said before, I'm a tutor. I tutor statistics and physics for the Purdue athletics team. I also am self-employed, so I ask professors to advertise for me. They put my name on the tutor list, and students find me if they need help. And I can charge my own rate for that. I don't really do it because I really need the money. I know some students do. I do it because I really like tutoring. And a tutor is a really kind of special job because you don't really have a boss. You're kind of your own boss. You set your own hours, and students come in and sign up. So I guess if you were to compare it to a job, which Claire does, or if you were to work in the dining courts, which I did my freshman year, those jobs have a little bit less flexibility. Like they'll still ask you like what hours can you work, but they have it in chunks. So if you sign up for a time, you're responsible for that 3 to 4 hour time slot. And sometimes you have class or sometimes you want to do homework during that time. But I didn't really have a problem with that. Just don't overwork yourself. Even if like money is really appealing to you, don't overwork yourself. Your health is really important as well. So prioritize your academics and prioritize your mental health over just earning some extra cash. That's what I want to say.
That's fantastic. And we had talked about this earlier, finding roommates, and how you done that, right? So we said Discord, Facebook, there's the questionnaire, just to hit those points again. So there are lots of ways to find roommates. And also you can be assigned automatically, but Purdue doesn't just put you with anyone, that they look at those questionnaires to make sure you match with someone. So it's another question we just got, and I wanted to make sure I just reiterated what you said. All right, so we're getting toward the end, and you all have been to high school. You all know what it's like to come here. So think back to the weeks before you got here. What do you wish you knew? And what advice would you give to students who are coming into Purdue for the first time from high school? We'll start with Emilio.
That's a tough question. I
You want me
think
to come
one.
back to you?
No, I think I got something.
Okay.
So one piece of advice that I always give out is that the first first 2 weeks, the amount of people that you meet will be the most it ever is throughout your college experience. So like your first week freshman year, everybody's trying to get to know you. And as you get older and as you go junior, senior year, like the excitement of meeting new people isn't there as much. You'll still meet new people, but not to the same level that you do freshman year with everybody in your floor and everybody in your dorm. So make as many connections as possible because a lot of those will last a while. And it's just when you get to campus, just meet as many people as you can, and those connections will carry you a long way. That's maybe my piece of advice.
Thanks. Claire?
If you don't use it every 3 months or less, don't pack it.
Wow, that was straightforward and fantastic.
I overpack. I need to drive up from Texas because I pack too much stuff. So don't be.
Okay, that is good to know. All right, I think Kat's frozen, so we'll go. Oh, no, she's not. All right, Kat, how about you?
Am I just standing that still that it
You
looks
were.
frozen? Sorry about that. I kind of looked like a little fly on the wall. Oh, geez, what advice would I give freshmen? Oh my goodness. Don't hold on, let me think about this. How am I gonna phrase this? I think just this is the time where you're gonna have the most, I guess, what's the word? Like these are like my friends call it champagne problems, but these are going to be like the best problems that you're going to have for the rest of your life, right? After college, it's the real world. So kind of embrace those, kind of work through it, use your network of people and friends and family that you have on and off campus and whatnot. And then another piece of advice that I have is do anything and everything you can to say that you just did it. Because I know, at least in freshman year, there were some things that I wish that I could have done that I can't do anymore because simply I'm just not a freshman. And one of the big ones I know is like BGR. A lot of people were like, oh, I wish I could have done BGR, simply because like it's just an easy way to meet people, and it's an easy way to just get out of campus or get out and go on campus. It's literally forcing you to walk around and learn about anything and everything, and really, like, seriously, like, go and see everything and do everything, because this is the only time that you're going to have that opportunity, and this is the only time that this network of people are going to have at least one thing in common, and it's that you're all Boilermakers. So take advantage of that time.
That's awesome. All right, Daniel, you get the
Yeah,
last
so
word.
so I have two pieces of advice. First one is, well, it's more something to understand is that people change. People can change a lot. Just really talking about you guys as students who are coming to Purdue. So, you might think, oh, I'm going to go to Purdue, I'm going to major in this, and then I'm going to work this job at this company after I graduate. And it's good. I think people need to have a direction in life, but people will change a lot. You will change a lot because of the people you meet on campus, at your internships, professors who may change your mind about the career field you want to go into. So just understand that that will happen. Second piece of advice is to have a purpose in life. This is not just applicable to colleges in general, because throughout life you have to make tons of decisions, and if you have a purpose, when you're faced with decisions, you'll know what is important to you and what is valuable to you.
Thank you so much. So, thank you all for all your advice and your discussion tonight. So, this concludes our discussion. Thanks again for those of you who are watching and for those who submitted questions. We hope you've learned something new about student life at Purdue and everything that we have to offer. Thank you, all of our panelists, for joining us. You've got great experiences and wisdoms, much more than I could provide. I really appreciate you, my ambassadors. To John, our technical director, for all of the behind the scenes work. And as I mentioned before, please feel free to send an email to techrecruit@purdue.edu if you have any additional questions about Purdue student life. Or any at all about Polytechnic. You might also enjoy seeing one of our other YouTube live broadcasts. We've actually done 9 since February, including several about specific academic departments and majors, also about women in technology and diversity within Polytechnic. You can find those on replay at polytechnic.purdue.edu/live. And just a quick reminder, the deadline to accept your offer to Purdue is May 1st. Thanks again for joining us tonight. Have a great evening and boiler up.